ready to go to work on Mom's PC upgrades, and got it all set up on the table. And there's my new. I did a detail on you know, video yesterday on my parts. I went ahead and bought the 83 AMD FX 8300 8-core CPU, and I bought 8 gig of RAM. That's Kingston RAM I got, and so if you want interested in all the details, that's in the previous video. And that's the ASRock, I call it, because it has the ASRock motherboard. It wasn't E-machines. You can see the old E on it. It had bad cap syndrome, and that's how I got a hold of it. Someone, a neighbor, built him a new PC, and I took that as part of the labor, you know, for the parts there. So anyway, since I had that motherboard, I know I could get it running again and everything, because I already had that motherboard. So those parts aren't going in that box; they're going in Mom's, the one behind me over there with the fan and cardboard box on it and everything. But I'm gonna switch over here to my working view there, and get on my lapel mic. Let's see, are we on it? Yep. Okay, and the dog next door started barking just as soon as I got ready to do this, and he hadn't shut up yet. It doesn't pick up, I don't think, at all in my SM58, but it does in the lapel mic. But I've got to get over there to work, so hopefully it'll quit here in a minute. That's what I hate about them tiny dogs and little. That's all they do is yap. That's all they're good for, I think. Only thing worse than one of them yapping is two of them. Sometimes they got two over there. But anyway, let's get to work. Let's see. I went ahead and I just left that. Well, I had the cover off, and I put it back on there so I could set that stuff on there and do that. But so what I'm going to do, see, this motherboard has been in here for several years now. I bought it new, this ASRock. And it has a dual core processor on it that came with this E-machine, and it's, you know, that's its CPU cooling fan and heatsink, and has the memory that came with it, because this thing will run either DDR2 or DDR3 with only 2 sticks at a time. Now I have Mom's 650 watt power supply in here, which I'm going to take back out, because I finally figured out the power supply of this E-machine's power supply is going bad. It's only a 250 watt anyway. I mean, it was made, you know, it was like the bottom of what could run that processor, I'm sure. And so anyway, I'm going to take out, excuse me. I'm going to take out, actually I'm going to take out everything that's good, because I don't like this box. Has a cover, well, I might even show it later, but this, it has an extra door in front of the DVD drive, and it has a button, a plastic button with a spring on it that matches the button on the DVD drive. Well, it doesn't work more, you know, 90% of the time it won't work. Makes you just furious sometimes trying to get it to open up. So, I think I'll get the power supply out first. I guess I better get my pliers and stuff. I want to be careful not to hurt anything. Good, I think the dog's shut up. I mean, it has. Let's just hope it lasts. I think I'll just go ahead and, well, yeah, I'm not going to use this memory in it, so I'm going to take it out right now. I'll make sure I'm grounded. Touch the, I don't always remember, but you know, this carpet in here is actually bad about building up a charge. And as a matter of fact, I was fixing to lay this parts over on my, lay these memory over here, and I do it all the time, but lots of times I'll get up and walk over here and then I'll touch this rack. You can't see the, well, you can kind of see the edge where my hand's going, my computer rack. It is a computer rack. And sometimes when you touch it, you'll get a big static electricity shock. And that wouldn't be good if I laid the memory, was laying the memory down on it and it did hit that memory. That could actually be the static discharge that would, I mean, it hurts. It's a good shock, big shock. It could be the one that, you know, ruined something, some memory or something. Gotta be really careful when I use the pliers to squeeze this tab. My fingers don't squeeze as good as they used to. I never am sure if I'm getting it squeezed right. Let's try it. No, that doesn't work. Let's try the needle nose. Maybe that'll be better. Keep bumping into my camera. But anyway, yeah, these, they have a wire cutter in them. So one time I cut one not too long ago. I've never had in my life, that's not going to work. Had done that before. And I had to splice one or two of them. I can't remember now, on one of my motherboard connectors. But this one is actually pretty hard to get squeezed and get off of here. I remember that. So that's why normally I didn't ever used to have to use pliers to do this. Maybe it's really that I'm squeezing it okay with my hands. It's awkward getting to it. Maybe if I turn it this way I can do better. Tell you what, it's nice having the camera. I mean, that's the camera setup I have is pretty good, but I keep bumping into it. There. It's more the tightness of the connector. I was like, what? Those are off. That's because it's a two-piece, and there's a piece of tape holding it together. Okay, now, I think I'll go back like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and unplug everything. And let's see, I think I already had the, not sure what I had going on here. Dadgummit. Hear the helicopter? There we go. Yeah, see, that's really easy to get off. So don't force stuff. If you've never done, you know, worked on worked on computer desktop before, electrical connections and stuff, don't force them. You will break something. Because they have, most of them have some sort of tab that you got to squeeze. Here we go. Plus, this one happens to be fairly tight in all, which is good. You know, it's not going to come out on you. Fairly tight in all the connectors. So, this is an IDE hard drive in here. I'd forgotten about that. I'm just going to leave that plugged up to it. I'm going to end up taking it out, but right now there's really no need to. So, but it had an SATA drive. Well, the original drive that was in it was a SATA drive. So, I'm figuring I'll end up sliding that stuff around and not sure where to lay things. Don't know if all these screws are going to be too tight for this long screwdriver. I got to get my little ratchet screwdriver. It's got a bigger tip in it, and it's got a bigger handle, so you get a lot more torque on it. I mean, and they're not tight. They're just too tight for that other one. Let's see. Now, screws. I don't remember which machine. Probably, oh yeah, I think these screws, I think the ones that I have in here, I've got 2 little cases of screws. What would be all those would be for? There's a little bit of difference in the threads in these, even though they're sheet metal screws. I'm going to lay those on there instead of in that. And those, I've got some little old medicine bottles. Well, actually, one's a medicine bottle, one's an old film canister. Remember film cameras? I still have quite a few film canisters around. They make great little screw bottles. But anyway, I try to pay attention and not try to use the same type of screws, or these same screws, or the same type of screws that originally were in it, because that's what it's tapped to. Usually, like when something's brand new, it's got a hole in it, but it's not actually, let's just say, tapped, even though you're not really using a tap. But tapped, your first time you put your screws in there, whichever thread gauge you got or size, that's what you'll end up tapped in your, in your sheet metal, in most of your, I mean, in a power supply or any other, like these things, like just anything or like that. Now your hard drive, no, that's you need to use the right screws in there, or you will mess them up. I've seen a lot of them messed up. So let's see. Get that loose. Those weren't even really all that tight at all. Felt like it was too loose, like it wasn't good. I don't know. Sometimes it's really hard to figure out how these go. When, like, say, this machine, I don't think I have a diagram or a manual, because this, I didn't get it new. But you can figure it out usually. But you can by experience, really learning. But some of them, there's differences in most of them, and because that's plugged just into the motherboard, so I'm going to leave it until I get it out. But get all of them that I can see loose, and use my other long skinny screwdriver. See, that one's hanging in the breeze. There wasn't even a place to screw it down. Now, I do want to get the fan connector off of there. I got 2 of these identical in looks, but one of them is a regular slot head screwdriver, and the other one is a Phillips. The slot head being long, whoops. Thought that was one connector, it's 2. There, those aren't on tight or anything, I just want to be careful. Anyway, this one is the kind where instead of squeezing it, you need to pry it out a little bit. There. So they're all different. That's the fan connector is what that one is. This one, it's on the motherboard, but it's so tight in there. I've got a modem in there I'm going to have to get out. Now this case is a little different. It doesn't have screws in it. You just pry that open, and that lets you pull your cards out. And that's all there is to that. But yeah, there you go. There's the modem. 56K modem. Those used to be coveted modems. 56K dial-up internet. Remember that? Well, if you don't, you're lucky. Try running a server on that. I was on dial-up internet when I learned. Now there's the other thing. Now those are the other ones that those aren't just regular old sheet metal screws. I started to think, well, I could show them, but I just don't remember why these are in this bottle. These are probably the screws that I wanted to use on the other. There's 4 of them. Yeah, that's what I wanted to use on the old ASRock power supply. And these are probably the door screws. So what I really need, I'll just keep them laying on I'm just going to keep them laying on the table for now. I'm not going to put them in a bottle right now. Put those to the side. I want to keep the newer, better shaped screws separated from the older. You know, some of them might have been. Well, like I said, it's the thread. There is slight differences in these little, even though they're all really basically. Well, some of them are sheet metal screws. Some of them are machine screws. There's a machine screw thread, and then there's a sheet metal screw thread, and then there's more than one size of sheet metal screw thread that you'll see. Now I can get to that. Now that I've got that. And that's all audio and USB cables going to the front of the machine. Now this one's not going back together. So I keep thinking how am I going to remember all that, but I may not need it to know it for so long that I'd forget. Okay, now that's not loose shit. You got to really look around and find all the screws. Ah, there's one hiding under the memory there. Under the memory tabs. There it goes. But it didn't feel loose at all, so. Okay. It could just be kind of half stuck. No, there's another one. Let's put all those up. There shouldn't be, you know. I like to leave them open once I open them because, you know, that way you don't start trying to put memory in there and maybe you don't pay attention and you're trying to force it when it's not even open. Whenever there's memory in it, I want them shut. When there's nothing in it, I want them open. Okay, now. Yeah, there we go. That was it. It didn't want to budge, and you don't want to force these things. Motherboards are fiberglass with traces, you know, on them to make all those millions of connections, and then all those solder joints. Now look at that thing. That is warped. Why did it warp? I guess when it got hot, you know, running, it settled. That's all I can figure. I don't know that I don't remember ever seeing one warped. And there wasn't a lack of connect. The only place there was a lack of studs to screw down to was this corner here, because there's one out there, but it's too far out, you know, for it. That's the way it went, actually. But I mean, there's not such a wide. And of course, I didn't sit there. The only thing I can imagine, I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not. If I can let you look down the edge, you can probably see it. It's hard to tell. It's hard for me to get it lined up. I'm looking at the preview and trying to line it up. But a lot of times when I'm not trying, when I look back at my videos, it's showing, you know. But when well, you're gonna have to trust me. It's warped. There, I think you might be able to see that a little bit. I mean, if I put it like that, I can't believe that it's warped. Like that. Maybe you can kind of tell right there. But it's got very visible warp in it. Starting to sag lace. I don't want to lay a straight edge on it because I might. As a matter of fact, this thing's been on yesterday, so those caps could bite me. I'm lucky I haven't got bit. Every one of them's still going to have a charge in them. I'm just going to leave this on there for now. because I don't want to I am going to take that CPU out, but I'd like to keep them. I don't want the CPU paste getting dirty. But wow, I just can't understand why that would. I guess the only thing I can figure, unless those shouldn't be different heights, you know. I don't think they are. But it's still, maybe these I don't know. Those weren't touching it. It'd be lucky because it could have shorted it out. But anyway, yeah, this one was, I mean, it worked, but not great because it really had a bigger motherboard in it, you know, that went all the way out to there. Mine was only going to about right here. But, so it's ready. See, what I'll do is take this CPU cooler and the CPU out of it, put my 8300 in it, of course, in Mom's machine. Now here we got this hard drive caddy, and take it out to get our hard drive out of it. And these are some of the screws you really pay some attention to. Now I'm going to put that one in there so I know it goes to the ASRock. It's not going to be an ASRock anymore. It's just going to be an old E-Machines box now. But yeah, finding screws that'll work in your hard drive can sometimes take you a few minutes of digging through your screws. So I'm just going to put those right back in that hard drive, just loosely. Because they look like they're similar. Sometimes I end up with different, well, those two aren't the same. They're different lengths and different heads, but the threads were what worked. But a lot of times your hard drives will have had the wrong, people will force those regular old sheet metal screws in there and screw up these aluminum threads, because, you know, aluminum's so soft. It can be, you know what, I was going to leave that plugged in, but that's just too dangerous on that hard drive. That could damage that. I could end up breaking that. Yeah, I've got two matching screws and two unmatching screws. But I'm going to do this for now. Usually I just put them in my screw box, but I'm not going to do that right now. A lot of times I won't notice it that I've done this, and when I do this, and then I'll try to put it in the deal and it won't go. But at this point, right now, I just think I want to keep track of where these go. Sometimes they're too long. Yeah, that one's too long. That's why there was a short one. Which one was the short one? Drop that thing. It hurts something. That one's fine. Okay. That's a longer one. Looks to me like I actually needed two shorter ones. There may only be one place where I needed a really short one. I know that this little bitty short one I've got in my hand, I know I have some more like that. So maybe I'm getting goofy here. Maybe I should be. Heater came on, made it awfully hot, but it didn't stay on for long. There we go. That one fits in there real good. Yeah. Different head sizes, but the same screws. Different head sizes, different lengths, but the same threads.
That one goes, yeah, that one goes all the way in. Okay, there's just one that's really shallow. Yeah, those little holes actually match up to where I can do that. Get it to set there. I know I'm going through too much trouble, but that's the way I am. Just gonna have to get used to it. I haven't yet, but I'm still trying. But sometimes I just can't stop myself from doing what I think I need to do at the moment. All right. Hard drive. Look, I didn't look to see what, I don't remember what size it is. I think it's a 250 or maybe it's a 200. DVD 2500, I guess that's a 250 gigabyte. Let's see. I do have my endoscope over there, but it does take extra time. 250 gigabyte, yeah. It takes extra time to you know, get it going, get it hooked, set up. Now this one, I just remembered, got kind of a neat wire harness holder there. This one, it's that those cables are real prone. This has to go. This hard drive cage has to go down into a slot there, and these cables are prone to get in the way when you have everything in the machine. Now that screw that I took out of there, now I'm kind of wishing I. Oh, okay, I see the ones that match. Yeah. So say I'm kind of wishing I hadn't put it in there. That worked out. I don't want this to be where I couldn't use it if I wanted to. You know what? I'm taking that fan out too. Because I can always use a good fan. And if it's in a box, because I'm probably going to set this box somewhere. And I'm not going to use it unless I don't have anything else that I like any better, you know. There's only 2 screws in there for some reason. No, there's not. There's 4. Couldn't see them. This has got, you know, dual holes set up for this size or the next size up. The fan. I think this is an 80 millimeter. I'm not sure. Well, that big screwdriver doesn't have a very good magnet, so I generally don't like to take screws all the way out with it. But you know what? The magnet on this one is wore out now. When you magnetize your screwdrivers off of your car battery or whatever kind of battery you got, they don't stay magnetized for a real long time. So you have to go back and do it again every so often. Put this in the box over here with the old power supply. I can't remember. Can't remember what. I still don't remember. I thought I had it figured out a minute ago, and then I forgot. Hopefully there's not any screws on the back side of that DVD drive. Now I'll turn this up. Let's see. Okay, now here's the. It's not getting in the picture. Knocking into everything. Okay, so let's do it this way. What is it? Oh yeah, there's this extra. That big old tab there that's got to do with. It's the hinge mechanism for the holding the. It sticks out there. It'll cut the crap out of you if you grab it when you're picking up the box. Oh, I need this. When you get a new hard drive, you always get a knockout. This matches the not hard drive, motherboard. This matches that motherboard. So you need to knock it out. Well, there's one that's always in the machine. You need to knock out the one in the machine and put this one in there, and because that matches the exact pattern of everything on your motherboard there. So yeah, don't forget that. Now these are the doors I was talking about for the DVD. There's a button. They're extra doors, you know. See, the DVD is way back up in there, and so this button is supposed to match the button on the DVD. It drives you crazy. And then this, the other thing I don't like about this thing is this was cool, sure, when it was new, when it worked, but the previous owners evidently tried to jab the wrong card in the wrong slot. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 cards and 2 USB. And they bent pins over a bunch of them, and they were touching. I'm sure, you know, power and ground got together and evidently shorted out the whole thing. But it's a little piece of hardware down there. And at least I think that's what's wrong with it. Pretty sure I got it. Actually, even though, you know, like the SD cards and all that stuff, you just see there's only one cable coming out of it, and I think it says on there. I don't remember now. I haven't looked at it in a very long time, but I think it says on there USB. Anyway, that's the only place you got to plug it, is into the USB headers on the board. And the USB worked perfectly. So I must have had it plugged in right. Like I said, I didn't have a diagram to go by on this one, but ASRock I have, I don't know where it is. Probably, I tend to keep, like, you know, the big, you know, you get really big you know, poster size things sometimes. I got a poster size. It was really helpful too. But I got a poster of how to put that ASRock, you know, how to wire it up and everything. And I think it's in the box, the original box. I usually save the original boxes for a long time because well, you know, during the warranty period, if you know, like say 3-year warranty period, they always want you to send whatever it is back in the original box. And or, you know, like when you just bought them, you know, you got a certain amount of time to send them back to where you bought them from usually. So so I'll put them somewhere like in the garage or in the top of the closet, and then I might, some of them I'm like, oh, that's 10 years old, you know, and sometimes I throw them away, sometimes I just leave them. Sometimes they turn out to be handy boxes, and I use them. And once in a while, I use them for something else. That's handy, but it also confuses me sometimes, because you pick it up and it's got weight to it, and you're like, huh? I thought that was in a machine, you know. But let's see which way that's going to go. I don't know if it's going to go out the front, or... Yeah, I think it's going to have to go out the front. If you try to go backwards, it doesn't want to go. Oh, it'll take the whole thing off. Darn it, I don't want to do that. Okay, there we go. It won't be that hard, I don't think. Doesn't want to let go. Let go. Oh, there's 3 of them. I knew that. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, see the doors? Looks real nifty, right? I mean, it's a clean looking front, but it doesn't work with crap. And it had an extra bay in there. Oh, and you know, these, it says right there, expansion. You know, they've always called those expansion bays. Well, some people who don't know any better call them blanks. I had a person that I built that 6-core. It was a, you know, a custom, not a custom case, but a case for building PCs, you know, in. And had a 4 or something like that, expansion base. Well, they, after it was done, they're like, that thing's just got blanks in it. It's like it's, I mean, I'm not even going to argue with somebody about something like that. It's not blanks. They're expansion bays. Of course, when they said that, I couldn't even think of the word expansion. Couldn't think of what you really call it either. So anyway, yeah, this thing could be taken out if you wanted to, but it's got a weird shape to it. So you'd have a, if it was just regular size, then it would, you know, you could put a, it's not the same size as a DVD though. And it's too big. I can tell by looking at it. I'm almost certain. It may be the same size as a floppy. Of course, I only keep floppies in my old machines that have a, you know, that have kind of a reason to use floppy drives. I mean, because of you either got old Windows on it or older, small, lighter weight Linux distro that. Well, let's see. I can't remember. They kind of got to where it was hard to find software to, you know, use excess floppies for ever since about Fedora, say 11 or something like that. But not too long ago, I saw some in Fedora 20, I think it was in Fedora 26 or 27, when I was looking at the software in the repos. But yeah, in the front of the door, if you did take it out, then you just have that weird shaped hole, and I mean, you could put something in there, but it wouldn't be a DVD drive. It wouldn't fit. Now, it would not fit in there. There's just one screw that's holding that. Makes me want to take it out just to see what that thing looks like. Nah, I won't, because that's not my. Oh, there's some more wires going to it too. Oh, that's the USB. Okay. So there is still the possibility that it wasn't shorted out and that I just never figured out how to plug this in right. Although it didn't give me any errors or anything. I don't remember, honestly, how sure I was that I had that plugged in right. But there is still a possibility then maybe that it wasn't burnt, you know, the circuitry wasn't burned up by being shorted out. There's a strong possibility that it was. I would say there's 80% or more possibility that it was shorted out and ruined, in my mind. But yeah, that's why. Okay, the USBs are separate, but yeah, I didn't used to know that the SD card. Oh, that's audio there. There's, oh, and then one's okay audio because there's mic and then there's one labeled USB. This one here, I think I had it plugged into like the second or third USB header on the board. But maybe not. Maybe there was something on there that said, I guess I should quit saying maybe and grab up the board and see if I really want to talk about it. Let's just go ahead and put this cover back on it. Yeah, I'm not going to take it apart or anything. I'm always curious. I always want to mess with stuff. I've been curious about that wondering whether or not I could get that working for a long time. And I think I actually opened this up and tried to figure it out once. I'm pretty sure I did. So anyway, the box itself is not a nice looking box. It's just that it's a the biggest thing I don't like about it is, whoops, I'm dropping my screwdriver. I'm getting my door. Biggest thing I don't like about it is there's nothing you can do about that USB other than taking that whole door out of there, and then the USB would be up in a hole. I mean the DVD. Then I don't really like looking at E-machines, you know. To me, the E-machine name just says piece of junk. They had, I don't know if, you know, if you don't remember, if you're not old enough or whatever. I mean, it's only been about 15 years or so, but they made really low-budget computers that just turned out to be junk. And really, I guess, in some ways, maybe that company could have been a victim of the bad cap syndrome, because it was the capacitor manufacturers who were making very bad caps. The story, one of the stories I read, seemed like the most accurate of what happened was that some companies stole someone else's plans and either didn't quite get enough of the plans to make them right. You know, they were trying to clone capacitors, well-made capacitors, or they just didn't care and just used cheaper, which is most likely, just didn't care and used cheaper components and made things that failed very quickly within 1 year to, you know, 3 to 5 years. And if you want to see some, you know, bad caps, you can look at my videos of that motherboard. Well, let's see, did I make a video of that motherboard? I know I made videos recently of that power supply, and they're swollen, they're not blown, but I made a bunch of pictures of those. Don't know if I ever put that in a video, because that was back when before I discovered OBS Studio, where I could do my live videos. I was always wanting to make all kinds of videos, but I didn't get around to it a lot of times because of, maybe because I knew I wasn't going to edit them, or I did shoot the video and then never did get around to editing it. And I always wanted my videos to be perfect, and I wouldn't upload them unless they were edited and done. So getting into some dust. Finally, after, I mean, I dreamed about something like YouTube before YouTube was ever a thing. And I was wishing, you know, trying to figure out a way if I could do it. And I just didn't know how, you know. Business in even more than that. I learned how to, actually, that was one of the reasons I learned how to set up servers. But of course, I was on dial-up. You couldn't serve videos on dial-up. And so, anyway, I knew I just couldn't do it. Didn't have the money to do it. And so then you know, YouTube eventually did come out, and I wanted to do it. I decided, well, you know, I wanted to make video. I've been making videos. I used to make videos with 8mm movie camera, silent movies, back when I was a teenager and a kid. Anyway, the editing is the thing I discovered. I just can't stand spending that much time. It's so tedious to me, and I get so tired of hearing my own voice. Anyway, once I did sound for live bands, and I really like that. I grew to like live shows. I did that throughout I started learning in '83 or so, and then all the way throughout the '90s, I mixed most weekends. And so once I found there wasn't an easy way or a way I could afford to do live videos on the internet until OBS Studio came out that I knew of. And so I've been doing it. Talking about okay, so here's my, now this is Mom's machine. Should have been talking about what I'm doing instead of other junk. Okay, I've got her power supply over here ready to go in. But first, put it back in the floor so I won't knock it in the floor when I'm moving stuff around. But first, of course, I'll have to unhook everything here. But see, where they plug in is going to be different, of course. It's a different motherboard, so you've got to kind of know what's what. Luckily, a lot of this, I think most of this stuff is labeled really nicely. USB, it's just a tag, but it's there. So let's get that off of there. Okay, and SATA, there's only 2 on this board. I think there's clips in there somewhere, yeah. And these cables, oh yeah, these are the ones that are tricky, I think. I'm gonna try, I don't know if that'll work. Let's see. I'm gonna get my endoscope and I'm gonna show them, and if I have to, I can use it to get back, honky cat, get back to okay, so what I'm going to do is switch over to an endoscope, just like that. And then I'm going to try to show you and have a way to review where things go. I wish I'd even done it on that USB, but I'll just pull this down here. I don't know. Problem is, I guess I'll turn the light on a little bit. Let me get the light on a little bit. Let me check my stream while I'm sitting here looking at this laptop. I haven't checked it since I got started. Turn that light on too. That might be about right. That thing's slow to load there. I don't see any. It says the stream's healthy and everything. It's just that the preview's not loading. There we go. Well, it didn't reload right. It's still at the beginning of my stream. Try it again. Sorry. But I need to. Well, while I'm waiting, I'll look around in there. Okay. Yeah, that makes me be able to see. So that's the IDE. Which way to go is tough here. Yeah, okay, that's the power. You know, the one out the main motherboard power connector and IDE connector. And there is. I guess I'll just have to wait for that. Now here's some of my USB connectors right there. Yeah, USB 2 and 3. Now, but this is the board I'm not going to be using. It's the one I'm taking out. And let me get over here a little closer. Sorry. There's no easy way to move here. Okay. I'm hoping that it will help me see this stuff. You know, it's amplifying it in my preview over there. Okay, the JS fan is one of them. J panel. I thought that was a fan though. That's the J panel. And of course, knowing where, looking at them and seeing where they go. Now, these are the ones that I'm mostly concerned about getting right. I remember on one of these boards it was a real trick. And this is the box I'm going to be using, you know, for Mom, so I had to get all this right. See if I can get a little closer. Let's see. Yeah, it's tough to get, and that thing is hot too. Try a little bit closer, I guess. You get too close, it'll just get blurry again, see. I know they're not, I'm setting the feet, I'm holding this tripod in one hand. And let me try turning it. No, that won't help. Well, I guess you can kind of see what I'm doing, can't you, in the other view? I forgot. So, oh, now it's caught up. Yeah. Let's see if I can use that. I want to get that. And make sure I've got a good stream. Okay, yeah, I can see me struggling to line that up. Okay, I mean, it may not be a big deal to just, yeah, I'm too close now. There we go. I went too close. Now I probably went too far the other way. There. Let's see. I just can't get it focused. So those are the ones, now see, there's one set, the black and the red. speaker. Okay, that's that silly speaker. There it is. It's hanging off the side of the board. It's not even on the machine or anything like normal. You know, it's just a little speaker they gave you to plug in there. That was the one thing that was chintzy about that. Okay, so of course your SATAs, there's only 2 on this one. But all those right there, you got to get them right. These here, those are the ones that I just can't get to where I can see it. Oh, reset and HLED plus. Well, I've done this several times. So I've actually had the ASRock motherboard in here and back out, so I know I can do it. I just thought maybe that would help me get it right. That thing, let me just get off that view. That's just beginning to be aggravating to me, so it's probably even more aggravating to somebody trying to watch. That's why I didn't grab that and start using it, because I know that it's really, unless you're just leaving it still, it can be really irritating to the eyes. Turn that light off again. I think it's really hot. Yeah, I'm gonna run around here. I just realized I opened my window some, but it's not opened enough now. It's getting warmer and warmer in here. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna get my magnifying glass. Yeah, it does say HLED, so it's speaker HLED reset, RST reset. Okay, so yeah, okay, now that's what I thought. These cables here are split into 2 sets of. That's a double there. Okay, HLED, blue and white. Blue is plus. Okay. No, wait, that wasn't HLED. That was reset. May not matter because it's not marked plus and minus. But the other one, HLED, hard drive LED, I guess, yeah. Okay, that's the blinking button on the front. Okay, red is plus, white is negative. Yeah, see, these are a bunch of. And J panel. Oh, that's the lights, I guess. No? No, that's the fan. The one that's labeled J panel. Oh, okay. JS fan, J panel. Oh, it does both. J panel are those lights on the front, those red lights. I have to remember to show you those when I get it all back together again. Always talking about them, and I don't show them. There we go. So that's the fan, the big fan in the back, and see, it's got a jumper coming off for with an adapter to just run the lights. So the little one, you know, goes under the motherboard, and then this one goes to the. It goes to these. This one right here, which is another set of adapters. It goes in here. Oh no, that's for the door. This is for the door. Those are both female. This is for the door. That's all that's for, the fan on the door. Okay. This is the lights. And it goes to just a regular Molex connector. And it's got 5 volt and 12 volt, both. I just never realized that. Hadn't paid much enough. I didn't catch on. Okay. The speaker. Yeah. Okay. Well, red is plus, black is negative. It's going to be different connectors on the other motherboard. That's why I'm being really careful here. Okay. Now. The next set, I think they're separate. Yeah, these are actually separate. Okay, now what are they? The green one? Oh, okay. Power LED plus. Okay, and then power LED negative. I think the other board, hopefully, I don't know how I figured that out, to be honest. There must have been a diagram that came with this motherboard. I remember this can be very tricky. And then power switch. That's, you know, as long as you can either, it's pretty easy. You can either go the right way or the wrong way. But, I mean, it's nice to get it right the first time and not have to keep jacking with it. But, I'm not seeing the labels. That's the problem in my head right now. There's just a bunch of components down there. Now, the labels are probably over here on the other side, but well, hopefully it won't be too hard to figure out. If it's been forever, I might not have any trouble when I go to put it back together. Get the SATAs out. I might not have any trouble. Some of them have clips and some don't. This one don't. I'll put that right there. This one has a clip. Okay, yeah, I've got both of, I'm going to leave both of those hard drives in there. This is her old hard drive. This is her new hard drive. And my plan is to, pretty sure I'm going to want to, I'm not going to ever was planning on leaving her old hard drive in here. I just put it in there so I could access it to the files, you know, to back it up and everything. I haven't got to that point yet. And and so my plan really, I think now is, well, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave them both in there, hook them both up, and then I'm going to try booting. I mean, it's not to either both of them. I'll either use like use a boot. You have a USB stick that, what's it called? There's one it's one of those, it's not an operating system, it's a boot menu thing that I have on my USB stick or my SD card in the USB adapter that can boot to anything you got in the machine without it being set up. You know, like this one, I didn't have the hard drive in there when I did Fedora 27, so it didn't see it, of course, to add it to the boot menu. Now, I could update Grub and assuming it will boot. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to boot it to Fedora 27. I'm sure it'll boot. Now, how well it'll run, it may not run in any way that you can tell the difference. There may not be any problem. And then I'm just out of curiosity, I'm going to try the Fedora 14 and see if it runs okay on an 8-core. It'd probably run fine, but like I said, I don't think Fedora 14 has many apps that can take advantage of an 8-core. So I don't think there's any point in putting it on that hard drive. What I'll probably end up doing is, well, I'm not sure. I could back this up and then reformat it to something I want to use, or I could leave it just like it is and put it together with this processor. You know, this is all going to stay together. This motherboard, this processor, this memory, it's all staying together. The only thing I'm going to use is this video card, and it has an onboard video. So, or does it? Oh, I don't think this motherboard has onboard video. I just remembered that. I might have a card I could put in it. It wouldn't be a 512 megabyte. It'd probably be a 64 megabyte, but unless this is video, and I don't think it is. Oh, why don't you look and see if there's a VGA? Oh, there is. Yeah, so that probably is the video, even if it's not labeled the way I can tell. But that's the only thing with the heatsink that's of the big enough size. So yeah. I mean, it won't be powerful, but it'll work. Yeah, there's a VGA on there, so this is all going to stay like it is. But this video card goes with the new ASRock and the new 8-core CPU. That's how I'm going to do that. So, it's got a clip on it. Oh yeah, and this is the one with the fan that was making noise, which it hasn't made any more noise since I cleaned it and put a little WD-40 on it. And this is also the thing that wouldn't come out for nothing last time. I don't know why it's so hard to get out of there. It's all completely out of there, but it won't come out of the darn case. Drives me crazy. I don't know why it does that. I don't know what it's hung on. This time I just kept wiggling on it and it just came out, and I never did understand what made the difference. Turn it to where I can see it better. That wasn't a good place for that cable. Got it hung on the table. I don't know if you can really see. That's as far as I can push that way, but now I can see what might be hanging me up. I don't think it's helping. Doesn't seem to be, it's not hung in the slot on the case. It's hung down below somewhere. But see, it's completely out of the slot. And it's just, I think it's crazy. I do not understand it. Let's see if I put it up here like this, maybe we can all see what's going on. Yeah, it won't push that way. It's not helping. Okay, let's see. Let me sit down where I can see down in there. It's hung down there somehow. I don't want to break anything, that's for sure. Crazy. Trying to push on the case, split it, push it that way a little bit, but that's pretty hard to do. I think maybe there's like a bend on the end of that card and it just doesn't want to come out of it. There's a slot they go into. But I mean, talk about being solid hung up. Oh, okay. Let's see. There. So you got to pick up on this side first. Leave these down in the slot, and it's completely counterintuitive. It was just hitting on that screw. I just couldn't tell it. I finally could see it just now. It's hitting on that screw. So it's counterintuitive because you really don't want to wedge. Pull them out crooked. You want to pull them out straight. It's just weird. This motherboard is just this case. I don't know if the other motherboard will do the same thing or not, but that case is kind of weird. But anyway, that's the fan that I've ordered 3 of because that was just the best deal to get them in 3. And I'll just take this one out and put one of those new ones in there. And I'm starting to get hungry, so I'm going to go ahead and probably take the motherboard out and then get me some lunch. Take a break from, stop the video. Let's see. Yeah, that looks like the best. Now, I had that cable on the outside of the case, and then when I went to turn it, it got hung in that crack in the table. And so I won't do that again. Leave it in here. Okay, now I don't need to take that seat. This one was the one I took tried to get apart and didn't decide I'd break it trying to get it apart. I thought it was making the noise, and it wasn't making the noise. It was turned out to be the one on the... Let's see if I can break those loose with my other screwdriver. I think about it whenever I start, you know, touching the motherboard. Then I think, oh, well, let's make sure I'm grounded. Of course, I've been holding this thing forever, so should be fine. But I've also been fighting all that stuff and shuffling around a lot, so you never know on the carpet. You know, I'm on carpet. I could build up some static electricity, and I don't know. Trying to keep my screws. Oh, there's little washers on those screws. That's cool. Little washers to keep. I don't know exactly. That's not gonna. You're still getting. You know. Well, it might stop you from. Like if your screw went down on anything, any of the traces or anything, it might stop it from grounding. Of course, the screws into the case is still going to be a ground, but they don't. That's the only one I know of that's like that has these little groundless washers. But there's those paper. Yeah, there's a paper. I don't think they're plastic. I imagine they came with the original kit, and I just went ahead and used them. You know. They have these small screws, machine thread, instead of those big ones that are more akin to the case screws, case door screws and stuff. But they, those other ones, I don't know what I did with them. Oh, I think they're laying up there. They're machine. Oh, I'm looking at them. I'm pretty sure they're machine screws too. But they're, I don't know. They're a pretty big thread. I guess they're really more sheet metal screws. That was it. That was all it took. So, oh, now we've still got some cables I haven't got off yet. Let's see what those are. I think those are audio. I don't want to lay it down. This one hasn't been on in a few days, but I'm trying to turn it so that I can read it. ACT6, ACT5. Okay, that wasn't what I thought it was going to say. And that's just an extra jumper that wasn't hooked up. This one, I don't think you could put it on wrong anyway. Yeah, it's got a missing. Put that right there for now. Yeah, HD audio. Thought it was going to say, I thought it was audio, but I wasn't sure. Okay, and that's for the front. The audio on the back, you know, is right here. Oh yeah, now I'm going to need to take that out of there. So, this one has a nice big support for the back side under the you actually screw on this part right here. I like that. That's much more, you know, I think this part is kind of heavy, you know, the big cooler and all that, and I think that's good. And, you know, though I was showing how the other one was warped, it's a lot smaller. Look how much smaller it is than the ASRock motherboard. See there? Look at that. On that one is the dual core motherboard, and this is the dual 8 core motherboard ASRock. But yeah, but that's why it has more room for the cooler, you know, between the memory and everything. So yeah, this is basically a whole computer right here. I mean, this has got the memory, dual core CPU, All it needs is a hard drive and a box, you know, just a couple of fans. And trying to figure out where I really want to put this. Yeah, I think I will. I'm laying this stuff on my bed, and I can't see the dust, but I can kind of feel I'm getting into dust. And I really don't want my bed covered in dust. But I'm not seeing a lot, or I wouldn't lay them on there. I mean, I really don't see any. Okay, now I want to knock out this. There we go. Now that needs to be over there by that one. Because they are, yeah, I can see that they're different. Actually, they may not be that different. Yeah, they are. They're quite a bit different. Okay. So, yeah, that's something that if you know, I originally didn't know first couple, you know, or I forgot from when I built my first computer that those are knockouts, you know. Okay, so now it's ready to receive the new, sort of new, been in once, ASRock motherboard, and then the brand new 8-core CPU and 8 GB memory. So, but I'm getting pretty hungry. So, me and my camera, I'm sure the cameras could all use a rest. Anyway, I'll turn them off while I'm eating. Then when, you know, when I boot them back up, the memories will be all cleared and everything. And well, this is cool. It's going so far so good. And I will I'm gonna reload my preview before I go. Sure it's all work. I like to know when I go. Sometimes I forget to check, but I like to know when I go that everything's working. Oh, it reloaded good this time. Last time it took so long, I didn't. Yeah. Okay, so that one, I'm going to shut it down. That machine needs to. That's a 1.6 gigahertz single core Celeron. Yep. Dell 6000 laptop. It actually on the Bane 8 it does okay. I mean, run it for hours. Oh, as my preview. Oh, I'm surprised that it can do it, and it doesn't make noise. The Dell 1525 is a dual core with 3 gig of RAM, and it handles it better, but it makes lots of noise. It gets hot, and the fan rattles in that thing. But let me go eat, and go back to the way I want to be when I begin. My mic. I'm gonna go eat and come back in an hour or two, hopefully, and hopefully I'll get that all back together and get it booted up today. And yeah, I'm gonna test it on the Fedora 27 that's already installed on there. It was installed with a dual core, but I bet you it'll run with the 8 core just fine. But just to make sure, if there's anything that would have got installed in the beginning, seeing, you know, when it sees an 8 core that's not installed now, when you do an update, it might get all that stuff, you know, from the updates. But I don't want any left behind code, you know, that's just in the way. I don't think there would be any conflicts, but there might be. I don't know. I don't know if there'd be any conflicts or not. So I'm going to reformat it, period. But I just want to see what happens. And then the Fedora 14, I just want to see if it'll run on there. I put in hard drives with Fedora in other machines, and it just recognizes the hardware and boots up most of the time. Maybe there'll be, of course, the video card. You know, it'll just use the say if I had a proprietary video driver on there, it'll just go back to the default open source driver, you know, and it'll still work most of the time. So anyway, not that I would leave them like that and use them, but just kind of neat. So anyway, yeah, I'll come back after a while, after I eat and everything. And this done. I'll see you later.